Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Because Minecraft, episode 11. And here we're standing in front of our chest monster, kind of with some stuff in the background. But I want to show you a new friend that we made today, or actually kind of not that new, or not today per se, but between episodes. He just kind of appeared. Oh, he jumped. So this is Goat Boy. Yeah, there's gonna be many goat boys. I wanted to name him because I didn't want him to despawn. I don't know if goats despawn. Um, they probably do. All animals do despawn, or they die. And I also wanted to make sure he didn't fall into the pit. Um, there's a few pigs there, rip pigs. But yeah, this is Goat Boy. Um, I am planning to get the goat horns, but it might not be happening for a while, to be fair, because I would have to find a lot of goats, just namely two goats. Then I can breed them, and then we'll just set up like a wheat farm or something over there. But for today, we're not going to be actually focusing on kind of the hole or the pit or the man-made lake that I still have to yet to finish digging out. I did dig out a few more layers. I'm starting to run into bigger cave systems though, so it is taking a bit of a while. But that is slowly but surely going on. And there's a sheep, and I don't like you because you keep eating all my grass. Thank you. I like my grass. I haven't finished making it, but yeah. But right over here, we're gonna kind of come around, and I still need to gather the terracotta for that. But we're gonna come down here, and what I did with this opening is I decided to leave it open, and I only have kind of like the gates, just to keep any mobs out and whatnot. But right here, right next to this barrel in the armor stand, is what we're going to be exploring today, and this is the armor stand data pack. So this is something that you can find in Vanilla Tweaks. I'll put a link down in the description below, but this is basically a collection of data packs that is compiled for anyone to kind of pick and choose, shop around. And I have two of them right here. This one specifically is the armor stand, the statues version 2.0, the armor stand basically data pack, and the mob heads. I also added one more data pack, which is just non-enderman griefing, because I am losing so much dirt, and I'm finding random dirt and grass everywhere, and it's getting to the point that I don't want them to mess up anything. So sorry, enderman griefing is off. Creepers, yeah, we'll just suffer the explosions. If it gets really bad, I might add on that data pack as well. But I went and I collected some heads. And since I have an Enderman farm for XP, I managed to just stand there, kill a bunch of Endermen. But this allows us to now put on, if I can get this, okay, and then we can put on the head. That looks kind of weird. You know, I thought the Enderman one would look more person, so that's why I would have them here, but not gonna lie, it's kind of creepy. Huh. Would a cod head work better? Let's see. Okay. It's better. It's better. I mean, the head matches, so let's keep them here. But basically, now we can play around with statues, or basically, the armor stands. And how this works is that we have this lovely little book, and there's a tutorial by Zombie Cleo, which I will also link in the description, that explains this much better to me, and also explains how to get the book. Basically, you just take a signed book, or actually, why don't we just kind of go for it now? But we're gonna have to collect a book, which is not in there. Not in there either. We might have to make a book because I don't know where I had spare books. Alright. I'm going to go collect the required materials, and then we will be back. And we're back. But right now, so we have our normal book, and we also collected a feather, and we also collected one ink sac. And this, we'll see, will make a book and quill. And basically, What you do is you just kind of click it, or you right click it, and then you just type something random. It doesn't really matter. This is statue book, right? And it doesn't really matter what you type in here, really doesn't. You could write a whole story, you could copy the whole Great Gatsby, who knows, doesn't matter. But then you want to kind of now sign it. And when you sign it, this is where the data pack, if you have the data pack and it's working, this is where it should kind of come into play. But just type in statues, and it has to be spelled like that with the uppercase S. Please keep a note that it will not work otherwise, so just do this, you'll be fine. And when you sign and close, boop. Oh, and since I already had one, it just turned into statues v2.8. So how does this specifically work? Now I have 2 copies of this, which I don't need, but it's always good to have a second one because you never know when I'm going to lose the first one or lose it in the chess. So basically how this works is that we have multiple values, and what you want to do is you can't really click on the armor stand itself. What you want to do is kind of just like stand kind of where it is, give or take. If you're working with multiple armor stands, this can get a little messy, but since I'm only working with one right now, I'm just going to click kind of to the side, and they have a bunch of things that you can do with armor stands. Really, so what we're going to be working with mainly is working with style settings, which allows us to kind of manipulate the gravity, hide the stand, show the arms, make it smaller or bigger, or show this kind of bottom plates, and also if there is a name, to display the name. So what I want to do currently is I do want to show its arms. So now we see the armor stand now has arms. Great. And then from there, I'm going to keep everything else the same for now until I start kind of playing around with some more things. For gravity, you only want to apply gravity before you don't want to apply gravity if you're going to make your armor stand float. So basically, it's if you want to move your position up and down with along with the regards to the y value, you do want to make sure your gravity is off. So we're going to actually turn it off for now, and then we can play around with that and see what happens. So as you see, I have some text, yada yada. And then what I actually want to do is, I do have a rocket, so I just have to make sure. Okay, so now he's holding a rocket, and then we can show off some other stuff. So we're gonna click the book again, and then this is kind of very important. So this is kind of nudging the position of the armor stand. So what we can think of nudge position as, where do we want this to stand? It doesn't matter. So ignore kind of the arms and ignore kind of the legs. We're going to treat this as like one block, so to speak. So how do you want this to stand? Do you want it to stand here, here, back here? Do you want it to float up for a little bit? I can't float because I'm not creative or anything. Go up, go down, and this is where the gravity, you really want it to kind of be off, because what we can do is, let's take nudge, and we're going to use just these 3, just because the relative aligned and relative exact is very dependent on is dependent on where I'm standing, and I personally, brain does not compute very well, so I rather use personally these first x and y and z values, which I have played around in creative world and also and mostly a creative world, yeah. So for example, since we turned our gravity off, we can let's add 8. Oh, see, and then our little guy's floating. Interesting. Floating dude. But we don't want that. We don't want him to float, so just nudge, and then we'll just show him back. And then the 8 actually to kind of show this off, we're gonna actually nudge him again back up 8, and then we can kind of see where this base plate is. So you can see it's kind of where a half slab basically would be. So the 1 3 stands for kind of like the pixel measurements. So a block in Minecraft is a 16 by 16 pixel 16 by 16 pixels. So the +1 +3 +8 is all by kind of a pixel-ish measurements. So we can see it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that way it's still kind of aligned. The relative exact, this one gets messy. This one is if you want to start kind of working with more or less positions that are kind of discrete, not discrete, continuous to some extent. So, um, yeah. But overall, it's this one. This one's like it's just kind of more, I guess, precision. This is kind of for more basic stuff. I'm doing basic stuff, so we're gonna just keep it basic, right? So right now, I don't really. He's kind of in a good spot. I don't really want to do anything with him in the nudging position. So now let's kind of look into the swap slot. So this is just kind of to do with moving items between this guy's hands. Usually you can do, we can show the main hand and offhand, and we see that the rocket that we place is now in his other hand, and then we could give him a second rocket, because when you give an armor stand a rocket, it's always in the main hand, which is in the right hand in this case. It's also getting dark, but yes. We could do a swap slot, and then if we do main hand and head, well, now, yeah. He's holding his head. Oh no. And, yeah. So what you can do with these is that you could actually make it so that you can have floating items and so on and so forth, and you don't use, like, you don't have to use item frames. You can use kind of like, you're gonna use armor stands to show off the items. Let me take a nap first, and then we'll go back to explaining. So we don't want that, but this is also very helpful, because what you can do then is, if you really wanted to, if I, let's say, took off all its clothes, or actually let's get another armor stand to demonstrate this. Or that's not how you, okay, there we go. And we'll just put this up here, and then let's set you down here, and then let's give you a rocket, or, okay, we need to make sure that this guy has arms, because if you don't actually give the arms, he won't, this armor stand will not, oh my gosh, give me a book. So we saw swap with main hand, and then what we can do is we can turn off the visibility of the stand, and now we have a floating rocket, and we can actually walk through the armor stands. They don't have a hitbox, so now it's like, oh, there's a floating rocket. Huh. Interesting. And we can use this for decorations, because now you can kind of use items and have, to some extent, you don't need an item frame to have it like float in the air or kind of move it. And what you can do is that you can now change the head or change the rotation and stuff, which I will show now. But right now, let's show back the stand, and let's swap him back. And I want kind of my rocket back, so okay, thank you. Alright, cool. So, thank you for the demonstration. It's also easier to work with one. So, now that we showed that, we kind of now want him back. And yeah. So what we can do, you basically treat your main hand as kind of the transition point. So if you want something, if you need something to go from like this one to the head, or to your offhand to your head, you have to go through kind of the main hand. Basically, it's kind of like one of those towers of, I can't remember what the name is, but it's like you have 3 pegs and you have multiple rings, and you can only move them between so on and so forth if you have some condition satisfied. Something. Mathematical problem that I cannot remember at this moment. But yes. Nice. So, what we can do then, oh, also this includes the auto alignment, but we're not going to be working with that for now. And then this is kind of a nice way to just mirror things if you want to kind of do some symmetry things. I haven't really played around with this, so I wouldn't know. And we missed something. Oh, here's the most important one. So this is the pose adjustment. This is basically what will take forever to do. And the reason for this is because this moves the head, body, arm, legs, and so on and so forth. They have pose presets, which, you know, you can do. And you also have rotation. So, yeah. What we're going to do is first play around with the pose adjustment. Actually, no. Let's go exactly with rotation. So basically, this turns the stance. So what we can do is if we do rotation, if we want to say, okay, so it's auto set at 15, but let's go 5, right? Angle step set to 5. So this will means that every single time it turns 5 degrees. So if you go this way, as you can see, it is rotating slowly, and it's rotating counterclockwise right now. Okay, and let's just make it bigger so we can see. So we go back to default, step size 5, so on and so forth. And this is just where you start getting into kind of detailed poses or whatnot, so on and so forth. So we're actually gonna change it back to 45 rotation. Let's see, and then we'll just have him face this way a little bit. Technically, I think he's not. I don't think he's facing forward. He's not facing forward. I can adjust that later. That's a later problem. But what we can do then is also point. And this basically means that this makes it kind of easy to some extent of where you want, like, their hands or their head or their feet to go. Because what you do is that you as the player stand somewhere and then you can point, and I'm going to point the right arm to my head. Meaning right now, this arm now points to where my player head is. So if we do some F5, you can see he's pointing at me. But he's not looking at me. He's just kind of pointing at me. The thing is, because he's not looking at me, it looks like he's just raising his arm, which is like the point. But if I, let's say, like, move down, or let's see if I if I do this, and then I do a point, and then I want to point the right arm back at my head, at my feet. Now we see he's pointing at my feet. Wow, look at those shoes. Amazing. So yeah, basically that's what it is. And you can basically treat, like, the ends of the arms, feet, and head makes sense. The body is a little bit different. You can think of the body as kind of where the shoulders are. So the body is kind of like, for us as Minecraft players, it's the crouching. We can only kind of point it that way. But what we can do is we can show pointing body. If we want to point the head, yeah, that happens. Not gonna lie, I was not actually expecting that. Huh. Huh. That's the bottom of his body. I thought this would go from the top. Guess that's not the case. He somehow decapitated himself. He kind of split himself in half. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, let's fix this. Let's fix this. We can fix now this with pose adjustment. Which now we're gonna play around with the body, and oh, that's not what I wanted to do. But as you see, where's the pose adjust? So what you can do is you move it along the X, Y, or Z axes, and these are slightly different than what you probably think they are. And these have kind of predefined rotations. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, well, pose adjusts, and then that's not. And this is where it can get difficult, because after every single step, you have to reuse the book and just make this. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. Honestly, what we can also do is just reset everything. So if you need to reset, just break the armor stand. No one's gonna notice. As you can tell, doesn't look that different. And then we just add in the shoes and the head and the yeah, see, now he looks back to normal, and we put on a cute head right there. And it's slightly turned just because of how I placed the armor stand, but yeah, no problems. And then we'll just go back to showing the arms, and there we go. And then we'll just keep that there. And then pose adjust, basically, now we'll just play around with the arms, but you can see how it goes up and down in intervals. So, which is why that pointing is just more, you can think of it as more, a little bit more nuance that you can move around with, because you could stand as the player on, like, I could stand on like this or something. Or I could stand on like what is it? Like a pressure plate. And I'm technically, if I look, right, if you see how what my Y value on the left side is, okay, never mind. The pressure plates do not have a hitbox, or you can't go up. But if I stand on, like, let's say the edge of this, you can see now I'm at 68.5 instead of 68. So you can be very discreet depending on kind of what you decide to stand on with the pointing thing. But so that's just kind of like what you can use. But else, what did they do is they work in increments, and the X, Y, and Z values follow kind of a different rotation, follow kind of a different manner of moving than you probably think of would. If you do 3D modeling, you might understand this a little bit better. Basically, think of it as one of those rotation balls around kind of the joint, and that's how you get your X, Y, and Z directions. So it's best explained with a graph, which if anyone wants that, like, I could make it. But basically think of it as the X is kind of like in this circle. The Z, I believe, is if I look straight down and I did this circle, and then the Y is if I look kind of straight forward and did kind of this circle. So it's a bit weird. Um, but we can just adjust. And honestly, the best way is to also just play around and have fun. Um, because again, like I said, you can reset just by removing it here and there. I did the body again. Nope, body, do not do that. Okay, thank you. But yeah, you can just play around and see what happens. Now he's shoving it into his head. I don't like that. Um, so we'll just put that back. And something like that. So what you could also do is you can play around with these and you can just see what happens. But I'm going to be kind of working on this and either collecting heads or just having kind of items thrown around, and this gives a little bit more ambience. I don't know how much lag armor stands do use or cause, so this might also be a very if it ends up lagging out this area, because considering the fact that I currently, if I stare in this direction, this is the laggiest area, I get around 40 frames per second. If I stare over here, I can get up to 100 plus ish, 80, around 80 frames. So basically, this is very laggy because I have around a million traders in here. So I'm trying not to overload this area, or else I might actually just create a really bad lag zone. But the things we do for making things look good. So yeah, but I'm gonna play around with these, and hopefully I can get another little stand set up here, and then we can kind of explore what you can do. And basically the next stand is going to be a fruit stand, and specifically this stand is going to be selling melons, and it's going to be selling slash storing melons and pumpkins, and they might be rivals, who knows. I might make them 2 stands, I might make it 1, and we'll see, because I have some real estate here. And we might also add in a little bridge dock or something like that. But main goal for kind of the next area is going to be playing around with armor stands and getting some watermelons and getting some pumpkins kind of settled in over here. I currently do not have a melon and pumpkin farm, but that will be remedied sooner or later, hopefully. But yeah, I also will be probably farming some more heads because um I just need more. As you see, like the salmon head really, like it does, like it is a fish head, but like if you don't look at the back, kind of looks like a person. And I didn't want to kill myself a million times and have different skins, alright, to get different heads. So we're dealing with animals, okay? If I'm not lazy, I will do the other method, but I really just don't like grabbing skins, so yeah, be a fish. I do want more cod. I do want cod heads though, because that one actually looks like people. We could get villager heads, but I also they take so long to breed up, so we're not getting villager heads. But with that, I will see you in the next clip where hopefully we have our fruit stand set up. So with that, I'll see you then. And we're back. And we made some progress, which is really, really cool. But basically here. And then this is what we did with some of the armor stands. So we put in a patron. He needs some clothes. Chainmail I didn't realize was gonna be so see-through, so he's gonna need some better pants and some better shirts and shoes for that. But as you can see, we have some mini pumpkins, and these are all using armor stands. And basically, um, you do is you just have them hold it in their hand or on their head. This one's a why is it always raining? Um, you hold it, you have it on their head, and then basically, as you can see, this is actually kind of the same size as the head here. And then you just move them around, and so you look like you have piles of pumpkins, or maybe like a pumpkin that's like just there. So this is going to be obviously the pumpkin storage whenever I get enough pumpkins. And then here is the melon storage. As you can see, I do kind of the same thing with you have like some melons, and you have like some melons precariously perched on top with some also showing off their goods and so on and so forth. And this is also the melon store, and like I said, melon storage. I will get more melons later. And he's our lovely guy. A little bit derpy, but you can't do anything about that. And I have this is going to be where the cactus storage is going to be. Actually, I'm not super sure just because my cactus farm is over there, and I don't want to necessarily try to move the storage too far away from the farm just because it makes it easier for transport. If I could somehow transport that all the way over here, have like either like water streams or like a giant, I don't know, like railway cart kind of thing that I could do. But it doesn't match the aesthetic to have kind of the railway unless I put it like underneath the floorboards, which means it would have to have a station probably inside the trading hall. So if we do something like maybe if we put like a station here, we could transport items. But that's kind of an idea for another day, and which is not today. So, and then with that, I've also laid out the outline for a few more stands, stalls, as well as kind of a bigger plot. And this is going to be, I think this plot I'm going to have to adjust, but this is going to be my wood storage. And the reason for this is because, and this is going to house all the types of wood. So this includes the logs, the planks, the slabs, stairs, fence posts, fence gates, doors, trapdoors, buttons, and anything else I might be missing, boats, of each type of wood. And this will be, I think it's 7 stories tall because that's the different types. That's how many different types there are in the game. Um, and this is just gonna be just straight up. I'm gonna just dump all the wood stuff in here. And this one I think I will have to do as probably automated storage. And so I'll have kind of like each type here or all the stackables. I don't think I can stack buttons, so that's gonna be fun. Um, I'm trying to think if there's nothing in the wood category that stacks in 16 because then if that was the case I would have to probably change how the storage works. Um yeah, because I don't think there's anything that stacks in 16. I'll fix that. If that's the case. Like, or I'll figure that out in the next episode. But yeah, that's the wood storage. And then here are just kind of little bits and bobs, and just kind of plots of land that I may just kind of like outlining where I would like buildings to be or how I could outline, because the issue, well, not the issue, but I would like to kind of start planning out more infrastructure around. As you can see, I have these light posts that I've put up as well. The issue that I'm running into is that when you look from further away, like let's say over here, clear out some grass, the the oak kind of blends a little bit. It doesn't have as much as a contrasting feature as I would like, and I don't know if it's also because the prismarine doesn't really stand out that much, at least with this prismarine blocks and stuff. I don't. I'm not sure about like the glowstone either. I could replace that with sea lanterns, and that will definitely give it more of a color. And I tried keeping with the prismarine theme just because of the fact that I have a copper roof, and I kind of want to take that color and like integrate it throughout kind of the area. But then this middle part, it's like there's one that's quartz, there's one that's mangrove, and there's one that I used with the warped wood. And I'm not sure which one looks good. I might just keep these four up. There's definitely a bunch of other textures and blocks I can use, since the oak kind of keeps with like the wood theme and kind of keeps with like the general color scheme, but it does blend in a bit. The um the quartz kind of gives off a little bit more modern-ish theme, but more kind of like a stone like feel, I like to think. But this one's supposed to represent more like stone. I could also just switch straight up change it to stone. And then this one, just another wood, but different color. Mangrove has like a very distinct color to it, so that is also definitely an option. And then this one is fully kind of more, it keeps the color scheme of the prismarine. So that's definitely kind of what I could be going for that one. So right now I've been making them out of oak just to get kind of the shape. I might also try refining this because I do like this crescent pattern, but it also does take up a lot of room. So I might be making like variations of this so I can have like little ones here and there scattered around. So we have like the big light posts and then little tiny ones or smaller ones that like dot the area or something like that. I don't think there's like prismarine walls, so I can't do anything related to that. I might have to, again, there's some changes I need to make, and I'm still kind of working on the aesthetics of it. But overall, I kind of like how these lights are coming out. You have that curve shape, which is really nice, and you kind of like, it's supposed to kind of encompass the path, um, and so on and so forth, and just kind of lead your way through. I might, like I said, I need to add more life to this. I do want to add more like bushes, trees, and so on and so forth. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. From here, it does look busy, um, a little bit, and I definitely want to add some trees to act as like barriers and like kind of line of sight kind of situations, um, and so on and so forth. But yeah, and the biggest issue I think is the fact that since it's only just like little bits, right? It ends somewhere, and I don't want it to end too early because then you kind of have this weird like it hasn't finished kind of situation, or it doesn't feel as finished as it could be. We're going to sleep. Okay, yeah, and like I said, it doesn't feel as like it doesn't feel finished, and it isn't, which is fine. But because of that, it's kind of like probably work on some of the designs off camera and so on and so forth. So yeah, but with that, this episode has gone on long enough, and I'm really glad to have been playing with armor stands, and it was really fun working with them, and so on and so forth. Um, and honestly, you can do like a lot. I think if I was just a little bit more creative, I could probably uh I don't know. Um do a little bit more. Hi, spider. Okay. Do like a little bit more with uh do a little bit more with armor stands instead of just making piles of stuff. Maybe kind of get get more people here. I don't know, more patrons, more customers, yada yada. But with that, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Um, and yeah, I don't know if next week we'll have an episode just because I have some real life stuff going on. So yeah. Um, but with that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.